Oh, friends, lovers, and all of the others, welcome to another episode of Pod from the Bunker. I don't like to say what number it is because I keep getting them confused and I'm shuffling the dates around and moving people here and there and everywhere. So today we have an extra special guest, a person I've only met digitally through streaming, initially on Mixer, mixer.com, you may remember, and then now, of course, on Twitch. He does stream elsewhere, of course. I think he uses Restream possibly or some other. We'll talk to him about it. He is one of the most fascinating and interesting and intelligent musicians I know. He goes by the name of Woozle. Woozle Effect is most of his links. Actually, right now in the chat, I'm going to bring up his link tree or equivalent to. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can get Woozle's links all in the description below. Thank you guys for being here live on Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube, we do this live on Twitch. Everything that happens is real. There is minimal editing going on. So come on over to Twitch. You can check us out. It's Kev from the Bunker. If you're watching this on Twitch right now, all of the VODs for these recorded podcasts go up to my YouTube channel, which is Kev D. Foster. It's on the screen. And everything on YouTube gets a little bit of bump if you like and subscribe to the channel. And I've been asking people to comment any questions they might have for the musician. Now, today's guest, Woozle, is so interesting. I'm hoping that there are people out there who are in the niche that he lives in that have questions for him or want to learn more about his interesting background and skill set. So with no further ado, which a lot of people say, but I don't often say that, but we did today. I'm going to bring Woozle in, and we're going to learn a lot about harmonicas and his journey and how that became sort of his specialty. So I'm looking forward to it, and let's welcome the Woozle Effect. Woozle Effect. I just call him Woozle. Hey, dude, how are you?
Hey, good. Yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm just adjusting my camera because when I go into the interview mode, then I have to actually update. Oh, now it went off.
Well, we need slightly more to do. I got to do your stinger again. Almost.
This is the interesting thing I'm talking about, everyone.
Just heard it, so.
This is the interesting guy. This is what I'm saying is his ear is so keen. He knows exactly which harmonica to pick up. He probably built the harmonica. I mean, tell us a little bit more how the harmonica became your number one instrument. And like, I honestly think you might be one of the top in my life that I've ever seen blow on a harp. So talk to me about how that came about, sir. And nice shirt, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah, had to pull it out of the closet there. It does get a fair bit of wear. My wife steals it every now and again. So
nice.
It's a comfy
Thank you.
sweater.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, harmonica is sort of wasn't on purpose, I guess, to a large extent. I played guitar for a long time. I know I've had harmonicas around, and I probably played my first harmonica when I was 3 or 4 years old. It was probably in a toy box at a friend's house or something like that. And, it was just it was probably a harmonica in C, and I was probably doing like a... See, and this was perfect timing. I got three dogs, and they get set off when anyone comes in and out the door. So
no worries.
But yeah, I mean, ages ago, it would have been just like really simple melodies on the harmonica kind of thing. So played guitar though for a long time. Had some bands when I lived in Winnipeg. Lots of pop rock kind of stuff. Some indie kind of sounding stuff that made sense in the 2000s. I don't know if it makes sense anymore, but that's kind of what I was doing. Mm-hmm. Moved out here to Russell, Manitoba, a nice little rural town of about 1,500 people in the middle of nowhere. And, fitting in with some of the bands that are out here and just trying to carve out a new niche. I built a lot of guitars and weird instruments that I still play on my live streams occasionally, but at some point the harmonica went from being an auxiliary piece in my shows, just something that I used to add some variety and flesh things out, to being like my absolute obsession. And it's probably been about 7 or 8 years of absolute obsession, and a whole lot of other weird choices.
Well, it shows.
I guess that's where we are. So
yeah, it really shows, because like I said, like I've seen a million people blow on a harp, but I've seen very few people play a harmonica the way that you do. And it's absolutely, we're going to get a little taste today, everyone. Don't worry. I'm just pumping the guy's brakes a little bit, or pumping his tires.
It's very kind of you to say.
Oh, yeah. Dude, you're an amazing artist, and I wouldn't discount yourself saying that, like, I bummed around in bands. You're a great musician, and some of those instruments that you built, I'm hoping we can get you to bring one over too at one point. But how did you start building instruments, and where did you learn the technology of the length and the size of the strings and all of that stuff? Because you make interesting instruments that are not, conventional strings or setups. So
Yeah. I mean, I wish I had the first one I built. It's actually out in the garage. It was a horrible accident, and it fell off the wall. It used to be up there. And it was, some people might have heard of it, but I had a 2x4 slide guitar kind of thing with a alarm clock, an old desk alarm clock kind of thing, round alarm clock with the hands and all that, and the bells. That was the sort of resonator of the guitar. And when it fell off the wall, the glass face of it shattered everywhere. So it's in the garage, and I need to find a new alarm clock parts, decide if I want to put it back together. But that was the first one. And I think it just came from, being out here. I like to tell the joke. This is not true. And I know I'm sort of spoiling the joke, but I would tell people that, like, I build my own guitars now because my wife says I'm not allowed to buy guitars anymore. So but in reality, it's almost true. But in reality, you know what? I have stuff, I have parts. I did like a little bit of messing around with switching pickups and things on guitars in the past, but I think I watched It Might Get Loud, which is a music documentary, and it's got Jack White in it. And there's this bit in the documentary where he slaps a pickup on a piece of wood with a bottle and a string over it, and he plugs it in, sort of solders the cable there, and sticks it in there and plugs it into an amp and makes some music on it. And I go, well, come on. Like, if you can do it with a hammer and a bottle, and like, I've got to have enough parts around for like something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I put together the 2x4 guitar with some bass tuning pegs and, an old pickup from a guitar that I didn't use anymore. And it was really just trial and error. I made some good guitars and some terrible guitars, and
that's wild. I remember,
but never conventional guitars.
Yeah. I remember that opening scene from that movie or documentary. Excuse me. It was fascinating, and it showed me something too, that a $3,500 Martin D18 doesn't make anyone sound any better. It was immediate to me. That was an immediate thing I got from that, and like, I think you're sort of the epitome of that with those instruments, because dude, you kind of have to adapt songs to different keys and or scales due to the way that you set them up. Is this correct?
Yeah. I built a lot of diatonic instruments. So, and this was maybe in the early stages of my love affair with the harmonica. But actually, one of the guitars that sort of changed my course here.
Please go ahead.
Siegel guitars out of Quebec. I'm gonna grab one.
Yeah.
The guys at Siegel Guitars, Godin Guitars, those guys, they make these things. It's probably not in tune, but this is a Siegel Merlin. It's just it's got 4 strings, but listen how out of tune it is. Oh, not quite. Pretty close.
Yeah.
So it's tuned in fifths, D, A, D in this. Well, I don't know if that's actually D, A, D, but that's what it's supposed to be. And it's diatonic, so the frets, there's a whole bunch of missing frets. And this is very applicable to the harmonica. It actually helped a lot with my visualizing and learning of things. But the only frets that are there are from the major scale.
You can't miss.
Just those frets.
You can't.
That's all you got. You can't miss. But you can't miss, but you also can't. You got to bend for notes because they're not there, right? So you can't, it's not like a fretboard on guitar. There's a lot of missing notes. So you can play a lot of chords that are in a lot of songs. And it sounds pretty cool. And I guess the first thing I wanted to do with something like this was play things that you wouldn't expect to hear on it. So, I mean, it's great for folky stuff. But I mean, I wanted to know if you could do, you could do things on it that were kind of neat.
This is the interesting thing I'm talking about, everyone. I love, dude, you're one of the most fascinating people I know. How does this relate back to the harmonica now? Talk to me about the diatonic thing and the harmonica connection.
Well, I mean, directly it relates back to some of the guitars. So, I mean, my hockey stick guitar up top, which was a terrible guitar, by the way. And I can explain why it's bad, but that's a whole other thing. Then there's the ammo can guitar. And I used that fretting pattern because I found that the restriction, like being forced into that diatonic box, this is where you live, forces you to make interesting choices,
Yes.
and forces you to play note combinations that you might not have otherwise chosen, and because they're the wrong notes if you had all the notes, but they have this character. And the harmonica, and then that's a big part about what it is. It's a diatonic instrument. It doesn't have all the notes, right? It's got a C major scale in the middle. It's got lots of C chords on a C harmonica. C notes all over it, right? But it's missing a lot of the other notes. It's missing all the sharps and flats. They're not there. So, we could switch keys, but it forces you to make decisions. One of the first decisions anyone would have made on a harmonica would be, it's tuned like in C, so you can do German Oompa music or something like that in the key of C, and you got a nice G note when you draw, so you got this. So that's what it was for. That's what it does. It's
Right, yeah.
Where it's its heritage, right?
Okay.
But very quickly, musicians in the South, musicians during slavery, during these periods where they were incorporating aspects of African chanting and really cool other forms of music together with this instrument, and they realized that the Germans wanted to make an instrument that played C and G, and so they avoided certain notes. You got missing a whole note in the scale, doubled note for no reason. So there's notes that are missing. But what they realized is that, hey, if we draw that G chord, that dominant seven's there, and you got this. Well, that changed everything, right?
Yeah.
That's a game changer for the instrument. So suddenly this is like all those train sounds, all that bluesy.
That's a dominant
that
seven
sound. So yeah.
Okay.
The dominant seven is in there, right? Right. So that flat seven.
Okay.
Right? And that's a game changer. That's where, and it's not just the harmonica, but other instruments doing it as well. But the use of that and the necessity to use that, because that's what you have. You don't have other notes. So suddenly you got power chords, you got rock and roll, you got blues music sort of as it developed. All those jazz chords with all the sevenths. It was like that sound, and it forces you to make those kinds of choices that you might not otherwise make. So that's one of the reasons I really like it. And it's a secret to a certain extent.
it is very much.
I can watch your fingers when you're. Yeah, I can watch your fingers when you're playing and go,
Yeah.
he's playing a C there. I can see the shape,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
what am I doing in my mouth?
Yeah.
To make, this one hole go from,
Oh, that's
got, four. Yeah, I got all these notes available to me in one hole, but it's not obvious what I'm doing. So
No.
yeah, that's part of the interest, the mystery, I guess. And
dude, I just to explain to some of
get
the
all
people,
those things in there.
I was trying when you were earlier. You're like, well, we have these notes in the flat seven, and you're playing single notes. Like, I can't even get a single note out of a harmonica because the technique to do such a thing,
Yep.
is rather difficult. Like when I honk,
It
on
is, yeah.
yeah. To try to get it to get a
And there's
seventh, yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah,
yeah. Onward. Sorry. go
Well,
ahead.
there's a lot of disagreement too about the right way to play the harmonica, and the classic old school ways. Lots of what they would call tongue blocking was sort of the originating style. And there's still camps of people out there who would say you don't know how to play the harmonica if you don't know how to tongue block like the old pros do, right? And lip pursing, another way of trying to narrow your lips in a certain way to get a single note, but without it's not like sucking. It's not like kissing. It's not that kind of thing. You got to teach yourself to get the harmonica deep in your mouth and still get these big notes, right? And that can be a challenge. It can be really.
Are you
lots of fun.
channeling? Are you channeling air to the center of your mouth within your mouth to get that? Like, how are you directing the air?
Yeah,
into
there's a
one
couple
single
ways
hole?
to do it. Like, here, I'm gonna use a cheat sheet. Or I'm gonna use a cheating device to demonstrate what I'm doing here.
Please do. Should I be giving you the full
I know this
screen?
camera's a little out of focus, but
Would
this
you
is,
like-
this is what I mean here.
Okay.
So this thing here, this is just a piece of plastic that I stole off of I think batteries came in this.
Okay.
Anyway, I punched some holes on it and you painted it up with some stuff on the inside. So you can see where my mouth goes. So when I want to get a single note with lip pursing,
Right.
right, my lips
are cupping the
My
bottom.
lips at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're channeling.
Yeah. Top is wide open.
My mouth is wide open. Yeah. And that's one of the biggest challenges, because when people start playing, if they start by just trying to, and I can go back there for a second. If people try to start by going,
Yeah.
trying to make your mouth as small as possible, that's when they start off, everyone starts playing and they're trying to play that 2-draw. How can I get the single 2-draw? There's just something, my harmonica's broken. It doesn't work. And they keep trying to play. What's that?
Yeah.
Sounds like a duck dying or something, right? And it's not right. It's supposed to be. How am I going to get that G, right? Right? So first it's teaching yourself to relax and open up and play that note cleanly. And then later, remembering that thing you were doing wrong before and doing it on purpose. So you can go and bend that whole range, right?
Yeah.
So
wow, man,
it's a thing.
It's very cool because I'm so blown away by it. You're very familiar with Rhino Lion. We've had him on the show before, and he circular breathes in a didgeridoo, and I can't explain how difficult it is. I've never been able to do it, not even one circle of it. And the same goes for this.
Me neither. I have no idea.
Yeah, I've had mittfuls of different harmonicas, and the reason I don't have them anymore is because I just could never do that, and I probably should have signed up for a few lessons with you. Is that where this is sort of taking you? Of course, you play a little bit. I know you stream. You build them, and do you teach lessons? How's this all work for you?
Well, I got a lot of things going on, I guess. It was sort of a weird journey. I was teaching a little bit. I was just doing some occasional lessons prior to COVID, but I was mostly playing. I had a lot of solo act shows with my Woozle effect, lots of loop station stuff. That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
And working with a couple other bands. But yeah, obviously big change when there's suddenly no gigs to be had. And I live in a small town, so the small regional circuit is not exactly big to begin with. But
yeah, exactly.
ultimately, that's all gone. And I mean, luckily, we were streaming prior to the pandemic. We were over on Mixer and everything, and it's kind of lucky we were. We had all the technology and we were ready to go. So while I did do a fair bit of streaming during the pandemic, I also started teaching substantially more. So I went from having a couple local students to having a whole bunch of students all over the world, because suddenly, like, everyone's virtual anyway, and time zones don't matter, and all that's fine, right? So, yeah. Even with local students, if they're kids, I'm looking at teaching students outside of school hours, right? Which is difficult sometimes when I got my own kids, right?
Yeah.
So suddenly it's like, well, time zones, I don't care. I can teach people at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 11 in the morning, whatever works, right? So my schedule actually opened wide up, and I was able to take on a whole bunch more students. So that was a big change. And the maintenance work that I was doing some maintenance work for other harmonica players, but I got the opportunity to branch out, and I got certification with Seidel. Seidel's the oldest harmonica manufacturer in the world. They're based out of Germany, and they make a whole bunch of fantastic harmonicas. So now I'm certified as a service partner for them, so I can do warranty and maintenance work on their harmonicas that are sold, well, anywhere. But if you bought one at Long McQuaid and for some reason there was something wrong with it or needed to be addressed, then I'm one of the people that they'd send it to and get it fixed right here in Canada, so I can get back to you. So yeah, that's a new development that allowed me to expand pretty broadly there. And even now I got a fair bit of harmonica retail stuff on my website too. So it's not the direction I would have thought of 2 years ago.
Okay.
Like 2 years ago, the plan was like, yeah, I'm quitting the job. We're doing full-time music. I'm going to be touring and playing and doing that thing. And then it was like, oh no, we can't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? For me, it's a weird kind of blessing. I discovered this other niche that I could really attack and put energy into during this last little while and build up into something that is just certainly self-sufficient at this point, and a lot of fun.
Amazing.
So,
I just want to
teaching a lot of.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to say, like,
know.
from me and everybody else out there, congratulations, man. It's not easy out there for any musician. I play the most pop culture instrument there is, an acoustic guitar around a campfire sort of thing, and you play probably one of the most not pop culture. Like, I mean, it's out there. There's blues bars and there's players, but it's very difficult to make a run at it and make a career out of being a harmonica specialist, dude. So I have to bow down to that and say, well done and congratulations, my man.
One of my favorite harmonica players is a guy named Jason Ricci. He says a lot. He says this a lot in some of his comments, but he's always hoped. He's a fantastic harmonica player. He's the harmonica player's harmonica player. If you play harmonica, you know about Jason Ricci. Okay. But everyone else, you probably don't know about Jason Ricci. Right. You should.
Yeah.
But he says one day, he's going to get famous. Like, he's going to do it. He's going to finally reach the pinnacle of harmonica titanhood and finally be about as famous as an Olympic ping pong player. Like, almost. Like, that's
I love that.
Like we made it.
If anyone in chat right now or YouTube can comment who won the gold medal in ping pong in any year ever at the Olympics, I would love to know.
Who knows? Yeah. But it's an interesting thing. And this is maybe the other thing that really allowed me to stay hooked on the harmonica was that it's an interesting world. And the best harmonica players in the world are still kind of the unknown guy in a lot of bands. Mm-hmm. That we don't think about who that harmonica player is. You kind of know, we know some, but we don't know a lot. And that's unfortunate because they do a lot of good work. They're usually considered utility players. They often have to play other instruments on recordings and stuff to sort of earn their keep.
Yep.
But the nice thing about that from a community standpoint is that when I join a harmonica forum online and I go like, geez, I'm trying to figure out this riff and I can't figure out why it's not working on this particular harmonica, and trying to do some alternate tunings. Did the guy who did this use an alternate tuning? Like, how did he pull that off? And so I post the question on the forum, and that guy answers. The guy who played that harmonica bit on that album.
Small enough community that you can get in touch with that person very easily.
Totally. Totally. Like, and guys, you'd be surprised the names that, guys like Lee Oscar, from War, Eric Bird and the Animals, like he's a big name. You can't go and talk to the lead guitar player of some of these bands.
No,
you can't just like, hey Edge, I'm curious how you rigged your pedals up this time. Do you mind just answering personally my email and letting me know how you set that up?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Right. But it's a different thing. Whereas it's like, yeah, I can reach out to those players and they'll answer those questions, and they're there on the Facebook forums chatting with people, and it's weird. It's humbling. But it's a cool sense of community. You really get to learn from some really fantastic players in a way that wasn't allowed when they were learning. Like back when you had to earn your dues. I guess you had to show up to the harmonica teacher's house, and he would tell you you're not good enough to learn from him and send you home.
Woozle, I have a strong feeling you're underrating yourself. Like I think there's a unspoken or unknown graduation to be in those groups and to understand what's going on and be a part of the conversation and ask questions to those guys. That is not like, hey, how do you play a C scale? I suspect you're talking a little deeper with them, and you've sort of graduated to that level.
I think it's a mix of that because I think it's a mix because I see it every day on Facebook harmonica groups, and folks that are watching can join. There's so many of them, Modern Blues Harmonica and Harptone Junkies, and I mean there's so many harmonica enthusiast type Facebook groups. It's almost silly, but you can join these things and you can ask questions. Now, it's not always that you're getting answers from those names unless you're asking them about something specifically.
Okay.
But yeah, I suppose there's a difference just in knowing what questions to ask. Because if I really just went on and say like, how do you play a C major scale? Can you help me with that? Insert name of harmonica player. And I mean, they may answer,
12
but
other guys will
like
beat them
100
there.
other people will first.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, if I say, hey, what the heck did you do on this particular track when you played that note that's not on the harmonica and you did a thing that's impossible and it's bugging me? And then they're like, oh, And I mean, hey, they're getting more savvy about it now. I mean, a lot more of them have, their own harmonica schools and courses now that they want you to sign up for before they'll tell you all the secrets. But, it's still out there. And even in the maintenance and tech community, and when I'm ripping apart, these are just some of the ones I pulled out for. These are not
just a couple.
There are a lot of my harmonicas. But when I was pulling them out to do some stuff, but I mean, when I ask questions about maintenance, and I'm like, I've got a few of these in this corner that are going to be ripped apart and cleaned, and we're doing some stuff with them this week. And when I have questions about weird maintenance techniques, I'm getting answers from Joe Flisco. I mean, your audience might not know who Joe Flisco is. I hope they would. But if you went and bought a Hohner Thunderbird harmonica, he's the guy on the box. It's his face.
Okay.
He's probably the most famous harmonica customizer in the world with Hohner harmonicas. So, I mean, it's interesting that you can reach out to those people and have conversations with guys like Joe Flisco and Richard Slay and Rick Epping and some of these. I mean, it's funny. I mean, some people get really excited about going backstage and meeting members of the band and getting all jittery because they get to meet their idols. And all my idols are like harmonica technicians. And it's kind of fun.
It's just your world, man. It's where you're at. So I have to ask, learning the harmonica, you obviously have a strong understanding of music scales and how that relates to like how I don't know anything about theory. I understand that you must know that to build a guitar in a diatonic scale. That means that's alien to me, honestly.
Well,
like I'm here to learn from you.
Well, I would say you don't need to know as much as you think. In
humble.
the building thing either. I mean, if you want to build a guitar that you can sell and call yourself a Luther and hand it off to someone and say, I stand by this instrument, it will not fall apart. That's one thing. But I mean, I have like the ammo can guitar, which is fun, is mostly Gorilla Glue at this point. And I mean, I'll play it and that's fine. I don't mind. But if a fret falls off, I go, oh, that again. And then I get some more Gorilla Glue and I put it back on. I mean, it's not, so I mean, there's levels of what you're doing. And I guess the knowledge of theory in order to put it all together, I mean, you could know the theory about how to calculate the fret distances, or you can go online and type online fret calculator.
Or you can listen.
Answers.
I suspect your ears are tremendous.
I mean, you listen. Yeah, or you just find another guitar that works the way you want it to and just line it up next to the other one, draw lines on where all the frets go. Like, it's amazing what you can get away with.
Right.
And I mean, on the harmonica as well, I mean, I would suspect like some of the most famous old school players, the Sonny Boy Williamsons, the George Harmonica Smith, like there's so many players that they sound fantastic. And I don't know that they would be able to articulate the music theory in terms of like what the notes functions are within a chord, or
plenty
the chords
of
functions within a key.
Yeah, plenty of musicians are like that.
I don't think some can, but you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
They just have a good ear and they hear it and they go, yeah, well, that sounds good. That doesn't. That sounds like what I'm aiming for. This doesn't. And then just, it's like your guitar. You kind of, you know where the frets are. You know what notes are going to play when you play that fret. You've kind of mapped it out in your mind after years and years and hours and hours of practice. And if your map of the harmonica, which has got to be in your head because you can't see it. So, I mean, if you're visualizing like blow 4, draw 4, bend, it's down here somewhere. Blow 5, draw 5, blow 6 bend. There's an overblow, so if your map there is comfortable enough, you can move around. And another perk, when you're playing a song with a singer who's like, yeah, you know what, I kind of like to do it like a half step flatter than that. Is that cool? All right, let's do it. And you're like, because you can't capo down, and then you gotta go up here, right? And I'm like,
a capo on the harmonica.
I'll just put this. Yeah, like I'm just gonna put the C harmonica down and pick up this B harmonica, and we're good.
Yeah.
So all the patterns I memorized for the first one to play the song the way they wanted to hear it. That's fine. I learned how to play it in C, and I went. And they're like, oh yeah, we just want to do it half step flatter. Fine, I'll just do. I didn't have to learn, a new pattern.
That is the capo, is swapping it out. Right.
Yes. Work smart, not hard. Grab the right harmonica.
Right. And that's why you have so many. If you have the right harmonica is a big if you have. Now, tell me about custom making a harmonica. And I know I'm so fascinated with you, dude, and all of your knowledge. But I would love to give you full screen at some point for you to teach us something. But tell us what a custom made harmonica is and why it's custom and how you develop your custom harmonicas and why you do that.
Sure. Well, I mean, I guess to caveat that really quickly is what I offer right now in terms of harmonica repair and maintenance, I do custom assemblies. So it's just like, a custom assembled guitar. I mean, you can get
Kit.
buy factory parts. You can assemble it in different ways.
Yep.
Or a kit guitar. I mean, I'm using factory parts, and I'm building, and it's authorized like a factory harmonica. It's the same quality you'd expect to get from the factory. I go over everything to make sure that it's just a little bit above and beyond in all cases. I'm trying to make sure that they're as close to perfect as they can. But a custom harmonica, and there's some fantastic guys in Canada that do that. Andrew Zajac comes to mind as a Hohner affiliated customer in Kingston, Ontario. They're producing instruments on a whole other level. So they're taking instruments and they're making sure that not only is it as good as it could possibly sound out of the box, but that the interplay between the reeds that are in the same hole is perfectly balanced, that every small, minute detail has been corrected so that way that reed passes through a slot perfectly with, absolutely evenly every time. That the exact same amount of breath force you needed to make that blow note is how much you need to make that draw note on the next reed, right? So it's a whole other thing. And then enhancing the ability of the harmonica to go above and beyond what a normal harmonica can do. So I do a little bit of overblow setting up. So that's about achieving some of those notes that you can't play very well on an out-of-the-box harmonica. So like, for example, you got a C major scale in the middle register on a C harmonica. Played a little really sloppily by me there. But we can bend to get some of the missing flats. There's one of them. So we got 2 of the flats there, but where are the other 3 notes I need? And there are these weird overblows.
Yeah. That blows my mind.
They're in there, right?
It blows your harmonica
but
and it
they're
blows
not-
my mind. Sorry.
Yeah, well, it's weird, right? But again, so that's about cheat sheet, a piece of paper to demonstrate. There's a reed. I have to explain.
Okay,
this
hold on.
sometimes.
I'm going to give
There's
you
a reed that's vibrating.
Hold up. I'm going to give you the full screen so they can
Sure.
see this thing and enjoy this
Yeah.
performance lesson right now.
I'll show
everyone.
a really quick thing. Yeah, and we'll play a couple things.
Cool.
To make that work.
Here you are.
Cool. I'm just hoping that my split screen is working because that might even be. There we go. Look at that. Okay, cool. So you got your reed, right? This is the metal reed, usually not a piece of cardboard, that's vibrating through a slot in a reed plate. Let me grab a random reed plate from my collection of stuff that's sitting here. There we go. There's a reed plate, right? So bunch of reeds sitting over top of a plate with holes in it, right? So the reed can vibrate through. So usually when you blow it, it vibrates normally. But what we can do is play with the way that reed functions when we blow harder, softer, when we change the pressure in the air cavity in our mouth. So by, for example, shrinking the tolerances on the side, making it very, very narrow, by adjusting the gap so it's very tight, we can achieve some things. So we can make it so that harmonica note plays very softly and very loudly, but maybe if you try to play too hard, it chokes, it kind of stops. If you use too much pressure, it kind of doesn't want to play quite right. But we can use that to our advantage, because if we can choke that reed that's vibrating on the top, the one on top, and just have it go like, and it stops, and change the pressure to redirect that airflow down to the other reed plate that's on the bottom, that's usually our draw note, we can force that reed to play in the opposite direction of what it's meant to play, right? So there's a blow note when you blow and it's up on the top of the harmonica. There's a draw note on the plate on the bottom. So again, if we blow just right, we can choke the top reed and force that air through the bottom reed and make it sound. And it's kind of like a Snapple cap. I'm not even sure how to explain it. It's just, they pop in one way and they want to pop back the other way. Well, when you pop it one way, it's a little bit sharper than it would have been otherwise. Not quite a semitone sharper. It's a little flat. So then we kind of bend it up a little bit. But what we get is the missing note. So we got the bend. Right? And it's not quite perfect. We can bend it, we can manipulate it, right? And you got to work on your embouchure to make it sound in tune. But that's one of the things that we can do. So typically we're customizing a harmonica to add the overblows on holes 4, 5, and 6. So that things like let's see, like, I'm going to pick up a different harmonica because I've retuned a bunch of these. But that kind of phrasing wouldn't otherwise be accessible. So that's kind of the things that you can add, and it changes the vocabulary of the instrument. It allows you to do things you might not otherwise be able to do. Those overblows can be really useful in just scales. Our blues scale, again, we were talking a little bit before about how the harmonica is so well suited to the blues, and it really is, especially in second position, something we call cross harp. So if the harmonica is in the key of C, we're going to play in cross harp, which is based on the fifth of that. So C, D, E, F, G, that's 5 notes. So we're going to play in G. It happens to be hole 2. 2 draw, 3 blow. So if we, instead of playing in C, we play in G. And then we start doing our blues scale like everyone learns on the guitar when they're playing in the box, right? They're just moving up and down the box in the blues scale. That scale there, right? It's available sort of in the bottom part of the harmonica, but it's not up top because it was tuned to do German Oompa music. It doesn't do that. So we end up having to find new ways. So how do you get those notes? They're all in there, but you got to learn these weird advanced techniques. And that's where customizing the harmonica can help get people there. So yeah, I mean, it's a thing people can do, but I would say like 90% of players, even professional players, don't do it. Don't do those kinds of weird notes. They're very useful if you're playing jazz and you want to add a certain color to what you're playing. But most players are playing, good old-fashioned cross harp. You play the harp the right way, it helps. So that, and of course you can amplify it. And we harp players can be a lot like guitar players. We like to do things with amplifiers. Let me see here. So plugging something into a microphone and running it through an amplifier and throwing some effects on it and using foot pedals, it's a thing that we do too because it's fun. So let me see here. I'm going to turn this mic down a bit. So your cross harp in second position, and of course there's third position. It gives you a minor, because we said it's laid out for C major stuff. Well, conveniently, all those same notes give us D, Dorian. And I don't even know the modes very well, so I don't even ask me to explain Dorian. But the point is that you get that cool chord right there in the middle. So people really quickly learned, well, what I'm going to do with that chord.
Dude, that sounds amazing. We love it. I'm going to bring it back over to the interview for a minute, but I would love to at one point let you do a whole lot more performing for us. Dude, amazing stuff. And
Cool.
Thank you for all that information. All right, we're back.
That's all the stuff that puts people to sleep, I know.
No, man. This is the kind of stuff that I knew this was going to be one of my favorite interviews because you're such a fascinating and intelligent fella, and you just know things, and you're very humble about it. I know you are, and I like the way you stand with your hands, very humbly, and yeah. But you're an amazing human being, dude, an amazing musician. You're like, I'm
still shocked every time I do a live stream, especially if it's a maintenance live stream. And sometimes I'm doing something really silly. Like I'm trying to find that way to tune that one A4 note on this one harmonica to sound right with another note on the harmonica. So it's like a 3.5 hour live stream of the note A. And then I look at the chat. I'm like, there's 7 people watching me right now. Are you really there? 7 people watching the Note A?
Okay, well, that's
and then it's like they got some questions. I'm like, okay, those are the best 7 people in the world. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a bunch more of the best people in the world right here in your chat right now. But
well, I will have a link to
it's
your
always
stream.
exciting to see those people.
I will have a link to your stream in the YouTube description, and it's just come up in chat here for us, so everybody can follow you. I'm curious, and the chat is also curious. Are you doing, or will you be doing Saturday night jam streams again, like you used to do with the looper and the toaster and stuff? And would I be able to?
I would love to.
Okay.
I would love to. But you were gonna say something.
And at some point, I would love to get you to play a toaster song with the harmonica and everything, and do a little loop if you're able to. I don't know if it's too late there or not.
Well, some of it I can't, and I guess that's the reason. I should say that's part of the reason why things were shifting around. So we're in a bit of a state of flux here. We're actually going to be moving from the friendly province of Manitoba out to Alberta sometime in the next short while. So it's been a busy year with a lot of stuff going on here.
Of course.
And so we've had the house up for sale. It's up now. So we're making things. If anyone's looking for a house in rural Manitoba, this is a fantastic community. Yeah, we're sort of preparing things. So a lot of my my loop station, a lot of that gear is packed away right now.
Okay,
so
that's no worries.
I want to bring some of that back, but most of the performances I'm going to doing if I do some Saturday night stuff for the next little while, it's probably going to be quieter acoustic stuff. It's going to be some rhythm-based stuff. I might play some of that stuff tonight.
Cool.
Yeah, quieter rhythm-based stuff that's maybe more contemplative, a little less technology-driven.
Okay.
Because we all get sucked into the technology.
I hear you. Is there any way you could show us a couple more of those guitars that are hanging on the wall behind you, and just show us some of the interesting instruments you have? I would be interested in that if that's cool with you.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let me put this one back, and I'll grab another one.
Okay, cool.
After I built the 2x4 guitar, I wanted to build something more Canadian. I used a bunch of road hockey sticks because finding wood hockey sticks is hard now.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you've tried.
Hella hard now.
Oh
yeah. And I went in and I went in and asked for the cheapest stick they had, and it was $100. And I was like, what? I'm like, I'm playing
$100, some kind of composite hollow stick. Ridiculous. I found these like made in Canada, like Linwood, not Sherwood. I don't know who does these, but they're like a cheapo road hockey stick.
I think that would be Finnish. Maybe it's Finnish or Swedish.
Who knows? I'm not sure. Like Lindstrom, you think?
Yeah, that's why. Yes, exactly.
Well, I wanted to experiment with a lot of hockey themed things. So I mean, I left I left my my tape job here, a terrible tape job, but it's there. And I wanted to use a hockey puck. So I put this hockey puck in the bridge. Now, you keep saying things like you must know what you're doing in order to be able to build these things. This is a perfect example of not knowing what you're doing. Because what's a puck made out of, Kevin? What's a puck?
Like hard rubber, I would assume.
It's hard rubber, but it is still rubber.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rubber. It's not very resonant.
The bridge of a guitar ought to be rigid.
I see.
So
but you're a creative
this has
fella.
about the worst sustain imaginable.
Yeah.
You play a note and it like immediately gets sucked into the puck.
But it's a sound though. It's a sound that you created, and like it's very interesting, dude. This is why I love you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if you put enough, like that's the beauty of an electric guitar, is that most of the sound, well, actually all the sound that you actually hear is coming from the electromagnetic pickup. Detecting vibrating strings, so it doesn't care that this, resonates like a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
But it does make this thing work, even though there's no sustain. It happens. A note happens. So if you put enough effects on it, you can kind of make it sound okay. But I always liked with these instruments. I figured my goal was always to be busking on a street corner somewhere, playing this type of stuff, and someone's walking down the street and they hear, "Who is playing that terrible sounding guitar? What is that noise?" And then they come around the corner and they see me playing this and they go, "Oh, for that, it sounds pretty good." That's pretty good.
It's a safety buffer zone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't fall.
I love it, man.
And the toaster.
Of course, the toaster. This is very famous. Anyone who's watching on YouTube, this is famous, this one.
The cigar box on the wall is actually not one of mine. That was made by a guy named It's Seepish Guitars out of Winnipeg that he made. I don't know if he's still building them. But this is an old drop side toaster. It's not in great shape. I need to, one of the backs is coming off. It had a rivet in it that I need to reinstall at some point. But see, that's the thing. I'm not building instruments for other people. So when they break or fall apart, then I just put them back together and I go, good.
Good to go. Give it a little smack there.
There, fixed.
Yeah.
Good. But yeah, it's got some rail humbuckers that I didn't have to worry about where the poles aligned. See, this is because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to find ways around that.
But that's smart in
It's got
itself,
a
dude.
bridge.
That's what's brilliant about you is
What was that?
What's brilliant about you is you're smart enough to avoid things that are not going to fly by your knowledge. You're brilliant. Sorry,
Well,
I'm just going to keep saying it.
I'm finding ways around it, yeah. And this thing's going to vibrate and do some horrible things, but yeah, this was just tuned in fifths. I think it was originally I used it in F, so that I had some more sounds in a different key. Yeah, 2 knobs. It's got 2 volume knobs for 2 different pickups. That rail pickup, and there's actually a piezo pickup from a violin. They sell these sometimes at cigar box guitar websites and things like that. You can get it. So I just wired them in there. I did a terrible job. It was backwards the first maybe 3 times until I finally got it to work. But yeah, that's the gist of it. So not having a slide, I'll have to use a harmonica as one does.
So this is fretless.
It's not going to sound very good right now, but plugged in, I play all kinds of weird stuff on it. But it's a weird sounding instrument when it doesn't have any electronics.
This is why we love you, dude. You're a creative and interesting fellow, dude, and it's just an amazing. I just love the way that you have leaned into what you are and what you do so deeply. So yeah, let's see the ammo box one more time here.
Yeah, the ammo box, I like it because it's more acoustic, or it can be more acoustic, and you can take the top off, which is kind of nice, because then it echoes a bit better. You can hear it.
Oh, it's a resonator now.
So it's pretty much a reso, yeah. I always like this.
Sounds so gorgeous, dude. Like, and you
It's
just
cool.
made it from
They're
scrap
fun.
stuff.
I mean, I get no end of joy from them, so that's good. They don't get played enough anymore because I'm really busy with a lot of harmonica stuff. But,
yeah, and a lot of
they're
people
lots of
who
fun.
watch you get no end of joy of them either, man. Like, it's a very cool part of your whole shtick, if you will. I know it's not a shtick; it's just who you are, which is amazing. But that whole thing is all part of it, man. And I love to come watch you bang on a toaster. It's amazing.
Well, you know, it's like live streaming was a great eye opener for me. Because it's like, and you've talked about this with other guests. It's a different vibe than a show in front of a crowd. You don't have their hands clapping and their toes tapping. You don't know if they've turned around from the VLT machine or not. You don't know. You got people in the chat that helps, but like it's hard to know, right?
Yeah.
And you know, one thing I kind of miss a little bit about Mixer, and you know, it's just that little bit faster. Like you were just that much more sure, but all the negatives of streaming aside, the thing that it's like a showcase, and musicians that play showcases, they kind of know it's a different vibe. It's for musicians, right? You're playing for the industry. You're playing for people that are listening in a different way than a crowd.
No
in a bar is
wallpaper.
listening. And streaming is kind of like the weirdest combination of an industry showcase and busking. It's right in the middle. You can tell stories about your songs that you can't tell. You can play that stupid request from the chat badly and stop and go, that was silly. And it's fine. It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's so surreal. It's not normal
Yeah.
in the musical performance world, right?
Yeah, it's very weird.
But for what I was doing, it's so liberating. It's like this, like, oh, you mean those rules are gone? I mean, I can just like, oh, you want me to play what now on this? You realize it doesn't have all the frets. Like I don't have most of it. Okay, sure. Let's spend 20 minutes seeing if we can figure it out and we'll do it. And you know, it's a different crowd and everyone has got a different type of show and a different type of expectation for their audience. But I think that's what people came to expect from what I was doing when I was doing my Saturday night jams. They were very free flowing. They were very
Awesome.
I remember looking at my song list and going like, we were on for 3 hours and I played how many songs? 7? Jeez, I need to play more songs.
Yeah, man, I love it.
But,
And
you know.
yeah, well, it's just I've tried to explain this to other musical friends of mine who are not on Twitch. When the pandemic went down, I talked to my bass player, my guitar player, my drummer. I'm like, you guys, like, you don't understand. You can be a weirdo and do only Frank Zappa on Friday. It's Frank Zappa Friday. If that's what you love, only do that. Trust
What
me.
club owner is going to let you do that?
No one.
Like,
but my drummer loves
where in the
Zappa
real
so
world can you
much.
get it?
Yeah. So it's like
Yeah.
if it's Frank Fridays and then you're doing Yes on Sundays, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you right now, you'll probably get a better, more niche crowd by doing that. Like they'll be more devoted
Totally.
to you than if you're doing typically what I'm doing, to be honest. Like I'm not trying to put myself down. I love what I do and I do what I do. But for guys like you who are interesting artists who, like you said, don't fit in that framework of, hey, I'm going down to the Irish pub to play my out of tune toaster and my 4 specialty harmonicas to like
They're not going to let me do that.
but you've understood that, and and that's what I love about streaming. What I've tried to explain to so many musicians, I'm like, you don't have to do what I do. You can literally play all Townes Van Zandt B-sides, for crying out loud, and you're fine. So
Yeah.
I love that you touched on that. Now we're getting close. I'm going to go over time with you because you're just too interesting to not. I'm sure people are really enjoying this. I am. Could I get you actually to? Could I get you to perform something for us? It could be one of yours. It could be
Sure.
a classic harmonica thing. It
Sure.
could be whatever. But
well, I
I'd love-
understand some folks that I haven't seen in a long time. Maybe lingering. So I'll play a classic. A classic.
That would be great. Let me give you full
tune.
screen then, my man. You get yourself set up over there.
It sounds cool.
All right, I'm gonna mute myself, so
back my
take it away. It's all yours, and I'm literally gonna let you free flow, and I'm gonna go use the washroom, to be honest. So, it's all yours, sir.
Stingers are so good. All right, cool. All right, I'm hoping this isn't crazy loud because the shaker's loud for me, but I've got the volume where I think it'll be okay. Down by the dam, throw the suckers back. Reel the walleye in. The luck spoon's gone, it was swallowed by a jack fast water. A fish on. Don't know how long I've been gone. Can't be leaving when the bite is on. I gone fishing. Got a favorite spot, a little off the path. Grab a bite to eat. My granddaddy's tackle in a dirty rucksack, fast water. A fish on. Don't know how long I've been gone. Never know how long I've been gone. I gone fishing. Down by the dam, down by the dam, down by the dam, down by the dam. Down by the dam, throw the suckers back, reel the walleye in. My luck spoon's gone, it was swallowed by a jack fast water. A fish on. Don't don't know how long I've been gone. Can't be leaving when the body's on. Look out, I'm fishing.
He snuck it in as the fade out went, dude. Absolutely amazing. I can tell you right now, you're winning people over the hand over fist right now. Don't forget to turn your mic back up a little bit there for me.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Remember that.
That's great. Thank
Now,
you.
usually I'm used to having this is so weird because this is my usual setup for teaching and things too. So used to having like stage mics at different levels and mutes, and it's so
learning.
weird having so much less technology.
Yeah,
to a certain extent.
You are teaching right now, sir. This is so unbelievable. I love this so much. I could go on with you forever, to be honest, but I have a couple more questions that I do want to ask you that I think are not specific to your journey so much. But what is success or the final goal to you in your sort of music journey? Or have you achieved that with this whole recent thing and being sustainable with the harmonica thing, or is there other goals that you have in mind that you'd like to attain?
Well, I don't know. I think a lot of people have been rethinking, their definition of success through the pandemic and the other things that have been going on. I mean, it's a challenging thing. I don't know if I've ever really had a musical like this is what success looks like. This is an end goal,
right?
Because like music is such a journey. It's just such you're always going someplace. You're always looking for another thing, a new idea, a way of expressing something in a way people might not have heard it before. That new interpretation that just goes, hey, I didn't think of that. So success, I mean, to a certain level, when I'm playing a live show somewhere, success is like when I do that weird thing that confuses the guy at the VLT and he turns it around to go, is that Bruce Springsteen? Because it sounded like Bruce Springsteen. It's not supposed to be here. And I go like, aha, I gotcha. Bruce Springsteen lyrics over a Katy Perry track or something. And they're like, what happened?
Yeah.
And I like, that's, to me, success is every one of those little moments.
Okay.
Where like someone gets confused that little bit. But I mean, from a career standpoint, I mean, as soon as this became self-sustaining enough that I can play music every day, I don't have to stress about it. I can do it, and I don't even like. It's funny because when I'm teaching beginner students, I get to do all those rudiments of practice that we always forget to practice ourselves.
Yeah, it keeps you tip-top shape for sure.
I'm playing basic scales like all the time, right? And it's so useful and it's so rewarding, and the growth I'm seeing in myself has been huge. So, I mean, I'm just trying to, just keep moving along. It's success. It'll just. I don't want to worry about it. It's always
like
out there.
Chasing a dragon sort of thing where you can just run after it and you'll just never.
You could chase it. You
don't even have to chase it. You could walk in the direction that it's going is what I might say.
Yeah.
To pay your bills?
Until the squirrel's over there, and then you go.
What?
Squirrel, yeah. That's
absolutely.
That's me in a nutshell. So lots of ADD here. So
no, man, you're such a fascinating dude, and I appreciate you taking a little time with us today, and I appreciate all the education you brought, and I'm sure everyone on YouTube is going to watch this. I'm going to make sure that everyone has all your links, and everyone in chat here currently has all your links and everything. Is there anything that you want to sort of promote or let people know how they get in touch with you for lessons, or if they have any questions for you specifically to your amazing and very specific skills? I'd love it.
Well, yeah, I mean, lessons is a big part of what I'm doing right now, and harmonica maintenance is pretty big as well. The retail component that I have that people can find on my website it was originally put there just as a service to people who were students of mine who needed a new harmonica, or people that were getting something repaired and wanted to get another harmonica while they were getting something else fixed, right? So it's there. It's not the biggest part of what I do, but yeah, teaching is a big part of that. And I think right now during the pandemic, and as we're coming out of it, taking advantage of one-on-one lessons with instructors is huge. And I'm not saying that just to get people to,
No, for
reach out
any
to me on my
instrument,
website
for
or what
any
have you.
student. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do it. Like it's amazing. Like I started as a self-taught, YouTube watching harmonica learner. Like that's what I did. And there's a space for that. You can learn a lot from that. There's resources there. And then there's the next level. The next level is like the schools. And I work with Tomlin Harmonica School. I do some guest reviewing with some of their students and work over there. And I've been on other forums that I've joined as well that are those sort of online schools where you get to post things for feedback, real world feedback that matters, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's the next step. And the next step is that private instruction, one-on-one instruction with someone. It can be virtual, it can be in person, but someone who can listen to you independently and give you feedback on the spot and help you through the journey, help you adjust your goals, help you overcome roadblocks. And that's been so useful for me, finding those teachers all over the place that are able to give those lessons and jump in and say, it's just this thing. I maybe you're just missing a little creativity. You're missing a little inspiration, and you want to find an area that you're struggling with and find a way of opening it up so that way you can find some creativity there. So good teachers act like coaches in that respect, and that's what I hope to do. But I work with brand new students that are starting from scratch right on up to intermediate and some advanced players. But the advanced players are mostly just we're coaching each other at that point. So it's a different sort of
Yeah, that was my next question. Is any
yeah.
age and any level is you will take any student at any age, any level, right? And
100%. With little kids, I mean, I do teach some younger children, and by younger, I mean like younger than 12, for example. And it depends. It all depends on the kids and the family. I mean, really young kids, it's great if parents want to hang out with them and learn a little bit as well to gauge whether or not they have the interest. Some really do. Mm-hmm. Some are there just to have fun, and that's cool too. Once kids are able to do some of that independent learning, then we can start diving into some more specific topics. But yeah, I got students who are retired and have that extra time and want to pick up an instrument for the first time, and other students that are guitar players that want to add harmonica to the rack to their playing and add that extra component, that extra self-accompaniment. So we do all kinds of things.
Amazing, dude. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I hope that anyone watching this does reach out to you, because you can be anywhere in the world, and you can book appointments with our man Woozle, and he is one of the most interesting, I say this again, fascinating, interesting, and intelligent dudes I know. And just, dude, thank you so much for your time. I couldn't ask for a better guest, and I wish I was doing 3.5-hour shows, but we talked before. I'm trying to play that little retention game, and I don't know, we'll do this again. That's all. We're just splitting our 3 hours up into a couple different interviews. That's all.
Well, we'll find some time to chat again soon. We'll get some of your harmonicas that you've discarded into the bin. We'll get them out, and we'll find ways to make them part of your show again.
That might be the fun way to do our reverse interview sort of thing on the second show, is I have to be prepared to take a lesson from you or something. So that would be great, dude. Everyone in chat here on Twitch is saying thank you so much, and they all loved your interview, dude. You've been an absolute pleasure, and they've all got your Twitch there. So hopefully you get a few new followers today, and everyone on YouTube. All the links are below. So I'm gonna let Woozle go, and I'm going to close out the show, dude. Thank you so much, and we'll talk again soon. And thanks
so much.
Thanks for supporting my shirt.
Exceptional and courteous host. Thank you so much.
You're the best, dude. I'll talk to you very soon. Okay.
Cheers.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah. Bye.
Awesome. Pro streamer. Thank you guys for hanging out in chat today on Twitch. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I know I'm not interacting with chat too much, but you guys are always welcome to interact with yourself, and I'll always love it when you're cheering on our people during chat while they're performing. Everyone who's watching this on YouTube, you're missing out because we're doing this live, and you can come see the unedited, unadulterated version of this as we do it real time. This one will be out in a couple weeks' time on YouTube. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you're on YouTube, I ask you to please hit the subscribe button. I'm just playing a numbers game. I'm not going to stop doing this after I hit 1,000. If you would like to comment any questions to Woozle or deal with any bookings or anything, there's links below. You can comment below. I will forward any questions that come to him. He's one of the most brilliant dudes in the world. Come on over and watch it live on Twitch. It's at Kev from the Bunker. If you're watching this on Twitch, it's Kev D. Foster on YouTube. All of my socials are popping up below me there. I thank you guys very much for being here. I'm going to hand it over to my moderators who are going to rate another Twitch musician right now, and we're going to do this all again next week. So stay tuned for more amazing, interesting musicians. And until we get to this again, please keep it between the mustard and the mayonnaise, everyone. I love you all. Thanks.